Time is money. We've all heard the saying, time is money. Is it true in photography though? Is time money? Let's look into this. Will spending money to be more efficient and to save time and to get jobs done quicker actually make you more money? Well, like with everything, it depends. So let's dive into this. First of all, time and money. The whole thing comes about really from jobs. You sell yourself for 40 hours a week for some money. Here's some time, here's some money. If you've come into this world and you're now self-employed, things are a little bit different. Suddenly you're not selling your time for money, you're selling your skill set or your availability. One of the weird things that people don't know is that being a freelancer means you're being paid to be free. The reason we charge a premium is because we are available and not tied into a contract. So let's look at the basic argument here. And I'm going to use a real life example that I have in the studio right now, because this is something I constantly come back to. Because is money worth more than my time? At some point, yes, but it's a finite thing, you know. Time is finite. We only have so much time per person. Sadly, we don't know how much time that is. It could be pretty soon for me, or it could be very far in the future. Money, on the other hand, money is infinite. There is always the potential possibility to have an infinite amount of money coming in. There isn't an infinite potential for years lived. So right away, we know that time is kind of more important than money. If someone offered me £50 million right now, but my life would end, I would turn that down. If somebody offered me £50 million, but my life would end at the age of 101, I'd be thinking about talking about that conversation. That'd be something I'd be interested in. But time and money are not equal. We don't really want to be selling our time for money, is what people say. That's what all the gurus say. And I kind of agree with it, apart from it only works if you have enough money. This whole thing, well, my time is more valuable than money, only works when you have money. There are some hard facts of life that we have to pay things. So keeping to the mindset that we're not all millionaires, keeping to the mindset that we do have a basic function we have to fulfill financially, let's look at this question. So my YouTube videos here, I edit these are 6KB raw files. I edit these on an M1 Mac Mini. It's a £1,000 computer. Each render takes 45 minutes. Now I could buy a better computer, I could buy a Mac Studio and I'd be able to do the renders in 7 minutes. That would save me nearly half an hour per, had to do some maths there. That would save me over half an hour per render to get these videos done. Will it make me more money being half an hour quicker per video? In this instance, no. Because I set them up at 5 PM when I leave my studio, I hit render, and by the time I come in the next day, my 10 videos for that month have been rendered. So there's no saving of time and money in that. It's a thing that has to happen. Take this setup here. You'll notice my YouTube videos are filmed in batch. My microphone, my DTAP battery, my monitor, my light, everything is attached to one stand. So I don't have to set up. This just stays out in the studio. We move it around when we're shooting so it's not in the way, but this is ready to go. Does it make me more money? No. Does it save me a little bit of time? Yes, but it does something else as well. It removes a barrier to entry. I've just read a comment by Mark who talked about time and money. I was like, I'm going to make a video on that. So I can literally walk out of my office, sit down here, film the video. There's no, oh, I've got to set it up. And that has a value to it. That really does have a value to it. But what value? And this is where things get interesting. And this is where I constantly tell people not to spend money, because I know what the average earning of a photographer is compared to the average expenditure. Photographers spend more than they should. And there's a real simple formula to this to work it all out. When your gross money comes in, that's before any expenses, for you, there's a very simple formula that means if you follow this, you have a high probability of being a successful business. If you don't follow it, you have a high probability of not. And it goes like this. 5% goes into your profit pot. 15% goes into a taxes saving account. 30% is operational costs, we'll get back to that. And 50% is your salary. Now you don't have to pay that 50% straight into your account. I get a bigger 50% than my salary is. It just means that my salary pot builds up, and that's kind of nice. But that 30% is the interesting bit. That is your operational costs. So every year, that 30% is how much you should have spent at most running your business. If your 30% is £10,000 and you spent 20 grand on kit because you did have the cash, your business will not survive. That is the general mass of it. Of course, there are anomalies, but never assume you're the exception to the rule. They're the people that fail. Now, this video is sponsored by me. and my Patreon. My Patreon account is where I share all of the things I can't share on YouTube or Instagram for many reasons. One, I've made an embarrassing mistake and don't want clients to know over on Instagram. Two, it is work related and I can't share it on YouTube because it's under a different business. Three, it is top secret stuff that really I'm just not going to give away for free. So that's where it ends up. It's a great little community. You can come and support us for the price of a cup of coffee in London, sadly. That's the crack. I'll see you all there. So now we know this. Time and money do not directly correlate. You cannot put a price on time. There's another factor, and that is if I get this done sooner, I can do more work. This is great when you're so busy, you're doing the 5 a.m. to midnight shift every day, which I've been in that position. Once you're in that position, for sure, saving some time might be nice. That might be a great thing to do. But if you're getting done quicker, to sit on your bottom and do very little, that's not actually making you any more money, but it is buying you time. And this, looping back to the 30%, if it's within that 30% of operational costs from your gross, you can buy that. And let me give you some great examples. So I have some expenses. I won't go through all of them, but some expenses. I have an agent who costs me money. Each time I do a job, they get a percentage. I have an accountant that costs me money. Each time they do my tax return, they get paid. Actually, I think they get paid monthly, but that's by the by. I have an editor. I have a studio assistant. I have a gardener. I have a cleaner. I have someone clean my car. I have all of these things. Now, my accountant actually makes me money because when I was doing my taxes, I was paying a higher tax bill because I wasn't putting enough stuff through that I should have been. She makes sure that I'm tax efficient. Actually paying her that money means that I pay less tax than I paid her. Brilliant deal. Absolutely love it. My agent, having my agent, every single job we do, he gets me more money than I'd have got by myself by a greater magnitude than the percentage he gets paid. By having an agent, I make more. Great. By having my car cleaned, I save time, but I'm not doing any work in that time. By having a cleaner here or at home, I save time in not having to clean, but let's be honest, I'm not doing anything else with that time. These are things I'm using to buy time. Having an editor come in, I could do the editing, I hate it. Cleaning, I hate cleaning, I absolutely hate cleaning, but I can afford to buy back my time with that 30%. I can afford a cleaner here and at home. I can afford to have the garden done. I can afford to have the decorating done in here. I can afford a studio assistant to help me do the things I don't want to do. I can afford an editor to do the editing I don't want to do because I'm not a time efficient editor and I just hate doing it. All of these things I can afford within my 30%. I can afford a new computer, which will render faster, but I can't justify it because I'm sleeping when it's rendering anyway, so it doesn't really do any difference to me. I can afford a new camera, but it's not going to do anything for me. It doesn't save me any great time, and it doesn't make me any more money. I can afford a new set of lighting. It doesn't save me any great time. Sure, I can have new lights where I can adjust all the powers on the trigger instead of having to walk to the light stands. Is that walking to the light stands worth maybe £50,000 to £60,000? I don't think so. However, is it worth me having a cleaner? Because one, I'm utterly useless at cleaning, and two, I absolutely despise cleaning. I hate it. I would much rather have that. So it's not a case of like, does time buy money? Is this the right way? Is that the right way? It's a whole balancing act, but it must be done in a sensible way. For sure, we want to have as much free time as possible. If a child is sick right now, I can go and pick them up from school because I'm available. If there's an after-school performance, I'll be there. But because of that, I have to make enough money. It's a real difficult thing to quantify, and everything is different and everybody is different. You might love cleaning the house. You might love it. You might love gardening. I hate gardening. You do it and the stuff grows back. It is infuriating. And along the lines of the cleaner, let's look at iPhones. This is another comment. And I love using your comments to come up with videos because obviously if you're thinking it, you're probably interested in it. If I buy the new iPhone, which is like £1,400 for a good spec one, or if I buy my current iPhone, which was £300, I've just saved £1,200. Now, the new iPhone is faster, better processor, better cameras, whatever you want to say about it. Mine does all the basics. If I get the new iPhone for my business, it won't make any more money. I won't make more money by having that new phone. That's not going to happen. But if I don't spend that money for my 30%, say there's lots in there, or say there's £1,400 of my 13% for this purchase, and I've got that extra money, I don't have to clean again. I don't have to wash my car. Some people love washing the car. I get that. Go for it. Don't substitute out what you don't like. I don't have to do shopping. I can have it delivered. I can have really nice food at the studio instead of food from Asda. Like whatever it is that is your thing, whatever it is that gets you going. And of course, if it is that new iPhone, if that is what gets you going, go for it. But don't kid yourself that you need it. You want it. And it is fine to want things. Me personally, I don't spend money on clothes. I say that. I buy very well-made clothes that last me a long time. So this jacket, I always get comments, where's this from? This is a United Colours of Benetton jacket. This cost me 10 euros on some Spanish island. And I'll wear it every day until it wears out. And I won't buy another jacket because this is my jacket. This is my denim jacket. I have a chore jacket, a denim jacket, and a coat. That is it. We don't need more things because I don't value clothing. But if you're loving clothing, go and spend your money on clothing. But again, don't justify it as some sort of like you need it to be looking smart for a meeting. I turn up to a meeting in jeans and t-shirt. No one cares. My work does the talking. I don't need this outfit to do my talking for me. You might love sorting out your studio, putting all the bits away. I hate it. I like being creative and messy and then walking away from the problem. That's my jam. Now, as soon as my 30% doesn't accommodate me to do those things, I have to do them myself. I have to spend my time on them. Might be more time efficient to have a cleaner, but I can't afford that time efficiency because we live in the real world where we're not all millionaires. Now, if you're a multimillionaire, don't worry about it. Go and enjoy it. Buy your time. But for us mere mortals who are hustling to get by, we have to use a certain amount of sense and sensibility. And this profit first system is great for that. The way that you break your money down, you go, yeah, I can afford this luxury. I can afford to buy time. And if by buying something there was an instant increase in profit, that's great. But the thing that photographers do is they go, I just bought a £5,000 camera and I've done a £7,000 job. It's paid for itself. It's not. That is not how it works. You could have done it with your previous camera and made £7,000, not £2,000. Or you could have rented a camera for £200 a day and made 6,800. Like, you don't need to buy these things. And I think because of these things like time is money and these weird sayings that we just bat around as fact, it's very easy for us to justify bad business decisions. One of the biggest things I do in my mentoring is try and stop people from making these mistakes because guess who made them and guess who was skint? Nowadays, I don't worry about money because I know that everything is organised. It's not like I'm driving around in a Bugatti or anything. I drive a Kia Picanto like an ordinary person. I spend the exact percentage on a car that you should spend on a car based on your salary. I have the exact camera gear and studios you should have based on your gross. Everything is carefully calculated. It's not wants, it's not desires, it's not speculative. It's factually based, and because of that, I sleep at night. I hope this has been of interest to you. I'd love to know how you work these things out. How do you value your time? How do you put a price on your time? I'd love to know because I find the whole thing fascinating. And as well as that, this is not a fixed mindset for me. This is something which I move all the time. I'm constantly changing how I prioritize things. At certain times in my life, money was the only priority. I had none. And later on in my life, time will be the only priority. I will have none. And it's very important to ebb and flow with these things as your career progresses. But I do think that sticking to this 30% of gross and operational costs, which is your website, insurance, studio, equipment, travel, all of these things, coffee budget, very important in our studio. All of these things matter and you must keep them within that. And you must use a system where you separate your money so you can be sure when you're spending something, you're not spending the wrong thing. See you soon. Bye-bye.